to Mud and Blood Plays Coriolis. This is episode 9 of our ongoing campaign, Fear and Loathing in the Third Horizon. I'm Matt, your GM, and I'm joined as always by our 3 players.
This is Adam Atley here. I play Kalia Arufai, Chemical Newshound. She just came out to have a good time and she's feeling so attacked right now.
I'm Charlotte, I play Luna, and I am a poor matchmaker.
And I'm Nathan, playing Xanafar Il-Kadif. He's our germophobic resident technician, engineer sort for the ship.
So we're picking up from last week when you proceeded to the main station, Horma Station, which is in orbit around Jibri, the gas giant. And you met with some nomads there who informed you that they didn't really know anything about the cold spot, but they did have some news that a mysterious emissary arrived on the station, I believe it was a week or so ago, and only stuck around for a couple of days and then left to a moon that is in orbit around Jibri, where there is a consortium research base. The moon is called Mukifa, and as you were trying to figure out what to do, the nomads suggested you speak to a consortium fellow by the name of Bassam Wahid, who is a compulsive gambler with lots of debts. You found him at a hookah bar called the Welching Weasel. Kalia took the initiative, stuck her gun in the small of his back, and basically said, "Come on, flyboy, you're coming with us." And that's where we left it last week. So, talk me through what your intention is.
I'm going to lean close into we got him to stand last time. I'm going to whisper into his ear, "You're coming with us, you eerie little salamander." And I want to frog march him out into the alley. I just want me and Luna to put the frighteners on him. I'm going to tell him, listen here, we've poor impulse control and we don't mind going back to prison. We need that access and we'll get it by hook or by crook.
Oh, shit. And then that's it. He doesn't say anything else. And you can see as soon as he says that, his the tension kind of drains out of his shoulders and he hangs his head very slightly. Compliant.
Brilliant. Just where I want him.
Okay, so you want to frog march him. You don't actually know where his ship is, what the access codes he mentioned are, anything like that. So you will need him if you want to use the access codes and to find out where his ship is and everything else.
Should we go back to our shuttle or ship and get exoshells, or should we just go without them?
So we're not taking our ship over there?
That's a question for all of you, not for me.
I assumed we were taking our ship over there.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to take his.
Okay. All right.
So that means we're taking him with us and trust that he has those codes memorized, or would they be in some kind of data slate that he would have on his ship?
That would be the ideal if we could get a hold of something like that.
Could we not dock his ship to our ship?
Depends how big the ship is, and you mean tether it, kind of?
Yeah, we have a docking station. We could just latch it onto there, and we basically have a mobile space station. We could just dock it and just take it with us. Yeah,
you could do that.
Could we, while they're taking him to our ship, could I swing by his ship and see how big it is, what class and that sort of thing?
Sure. Yeah. Just to conserve time, you've got the contacts that you met last week, which are Juma and Aliyah, and they'd happily tell you what the ship name for this guy is. Kind of common knowledge on a smaller station like this. So you're able to find out fairly quickly that his ship is called the Winning Throw. You make your way you find out where it is. You make your way over there and to one of the hangars for the station, and it's a class 3 freighter in pretty beat up shape. So if you're gonna just spend time kind of trying to break into it and fly it, I'm happy to say you just spent a little bit of time kind of getting into the ship without requiring you to roll multiple times.
Well, we could always load him into his ship, fly it over, and dock it in our ship.
Yeah, that's true.
And that would be how we got back. Did we take a shuttle over?
You did. Yes, you did. Mm-hmm.
I can offer to take the shuttle back to the ship, and the two of them can take him and his ship back to ours.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you, that's fine. Xanafar heads back to the shuttle and takes it back. Does Kalia keep her gun pressed into the small of his back the whole time that you're kind of marching through the station?
Pretty much. I get she gets a pretty profound crook in, in the old bicep.
Okay.
But when the devil drives, as they say.
And I guess, Charlotte, you can have Luna on the other side kind of blocking so people can't necessarily see what's going on if you're like both walking behind them.
That works.
If anybody gives us any, trouble, we'll just tell them we're in a polycule. What's
a polycule? I have no idea what that is.
A sort of tripartite romantic relationship.
Okay. Okay, I'm kind of sorry.
They're all the rage on the Third Horizon.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. You make your way to his ship. He reluctantly types in his code, and the access ramp drops from the ship, and you all enter without anyone kind of putting up an alarm or anything like that. And very soon, he's sat at the controls, ready to fly.
Danya Bassam.
Kalia can fly, though, right? She has piloting?
I don't.
Oh.
Most unfortunate.
Only Xanathar has piloting.
Right, just to give him a little bit of motivation, I tell him that we're still willing to pay him. Maybe not as much as we originally discussed, but money is still in there to make him a little bit more compliant to actually not crash us.
You see his demeanor change ever so slightly, and he kind of turns his sullen face to you. Yeah, but okay. How much? How much are we talking here?
What did we discuss beforehand? Like 13,000 or some shit, or?
He originally wanted 8,000. Yeah, he wanted 16,000 basically.
Then we'll cut that in half to like 8.
Okay, I have your. Not that I can trust your word after you've just forced me onto my own ship to do what you want, but
fair comment.
I suppose I don't have much choice, do I?
Well, I feel that we're all rolling with this the best we can right now, so I mean the alternative is throwing you out into space.
Yes, no.
I'm going to lean in very close to his ear and say, a woman tries, You don't consider the impact of your word. That's the trouble.
What do you mean?
It's like, I made you a very generous offer of all of this. I gesture grandly to my spindly, pointy form. You weren't having any of it.
Listen, Sadi.
It could have been so different.
I don't know how to break it to you, but I just won't. Eh? Let's just leave it, yeah? I'm sorry. Tabra?
I appreciate that.
Tabra, let's go. Okay, so you basically tell him where to go to your ship, which is close by. He pilots it over without any issues. Doesn't try and do anything kind of dodgy. Of course, you're standing there with a gun right at his head, effectively. And he maneuvers the ship into place. You dock it with your ship, and then you all frog march him on board the one for Sorrow. While you're taking him on board, Xanathar, I guess you're going to be just kind of doing a little bit of securing of the ship to make sure it's kind of latched on.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, we'll just say that takes about an hour or so. In the meantime, what are you doing with him, Luna and Kalia? What are you going to do with him while Xanathar's attaching his ship to yours?
I suggest we frog him. We bind his wrists and ankles together.
Okay.
And we put him upside down in the chair, in the captain's chair.
No, let's just let him sit normally.
All right. You've got a lot of sympathy for Basan, but then I suppose it wasn't you he slighted.
You made such a good case for yourself as well there, Kalia.
I know.
Spindly, angly, pointy form.
Yeah.
And your urea-soaked mask. It just paints a lovely picture.
Precisely. What a babe.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that for the last week. I'm still kind of disgusted. I feel bad for putting him in that situation.
As you should. Okay, so he's tied up, and do you want his mouth? You want him to be able to talk if he wants to, or are you kind of gagging him as well?
He can talk.
Okay. Yeah, an hour later, you're ready to go. Xanathar, do you want to join them back on the bridge?
Yeah, I figured once we were done, he would go back to the bridge. Also, I think he would have kind of arranged all the exo shells and kind of like the gear and stuff for like a mission off the ship, since we're going to a moon.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Xanathar, as you are walking back from the dock to the bridge, you go through the corridor where the strange message in blood had been left on the walls, and you hear something behind you, like a clunking sound, quite loud. You're in the corridor. You're not like in a big room.
Like metal on metal clunking?
Like something heavy falling on metal, yeah. But not necessarily metal. It's not like a clanging noise. It's more just like a clunking.
Like through a side hall or like a different room or like in the where I...
You're in a straight corridor and it's coming directly from behind you.
All right, I think he's gonna like just kind of instinctively cringe and draw to the side of the hall in the direction he's walking, and then look over his shoulder behind him to see if one of the people from stasis got out or something.
You see a figure standing at the other end of the corridor, staring at him.
Shit.
And the figure is wearing a white lab coat, dark hair, long hair. You can't tell if it's wet or greasy or what. It's kind of hanging in front of his face, partially obscuring his face.
Hello? Who are you?
It lifts a finger and points it at you. Doesn't say anything. It takes a step forward.
Don't like it.
There's another loud clunk.
Jill? How many life forms are in the hallway where I am at?
Engineer Xenophar, you are alone in the corridor. Clunk.
Jill, scan the hall again, and he's gonna reach for his proximity sensor and activate it.
Okay.
He's gonna do an active scan.
It takes a moment for you to get it out. It takes a moment for Jill to run the scan. And then he's taking 2 more steps towards you when you've got the proximity scanner out and Jill pipes back.
Scan complete, Engineer Xenophar. You are alone in that section of the ship.
And your proximity sensor shows nothing.
Clunk.
All right. He's not gonna run. He's just going to, like, with his back against the wall, he's just gonna, like, walk backwards away from it. Kind of like against the wall. He's not like in the hall, in the corridor itself, like, but he's like leaned against the wall, backing up, kind of like holding onto the wall, like it's his only grip on reality at the moment, but moving away. Okay.
The figure is still pointing at you, and although it's got about maybe 3 or 4 meters closer to you, it's still a good 10 to 15 meters away, and you can't make out the face at all. It hasn't become any clearer, and yeah, you reach the door at the other end of the corridor as you're kind of sidling along.
Uh-huh.
And as you're sidling along, it doesn't increase its pace. It just continues slowly plodding towards you.
Okay, is there like a control panel or something there by the door? All right, he's gonna kind of like hold on to it, and then he's gonna realize, oh, I can contact the others, and he's gonna kind of in a high-pitched voice, open comms with them on the bridge and say, Luna, get down here, Clea, there's someone in the hall with me, but he's not on it. He's just kind of like disjointedly trying to summon them to his location.
Yep. Okay.
Kalia's going to leap on the comms and immediately her radar set off. Is it someone in a white coat?
Yes! He's coming right for me right here.
Kalia blazes out of the room.
I tell her to stop, stay with him. I'll go deal with this.
I catch myself on the door jam.
Okay. So Luna, you want to go? You running? You just gonna walk?
No, I'll run down.
Okay. So it's gonna take you 2 or 3 minutes. Xenophar, you know this as well. It's a good 5-minute walk from the bridge to this corridor. It's a big ship you've got here. And you do a quick calculation in your head and figure out that there's no way they're going to get here in time before the figure has reached you. It's about closed half the distance of the corridor, so it's still about 10 meters away.
Okay. Can I open the bulkhead door here at the end of the corridor and go into the next corridor? I want to kind of maintain a visual, because, like, I'm obviously seeing this. Actually, he's got his survival mask on. I think he's gonna take his survival mask off and see if he can still see it. So he's gonna remove his mask.
Okay.
Things are desperate.
You remove your mask, and in the split half second that the mask obscures your vision as you pull it over your head, there's no one standing in front of you. The corridor is empty.
All right, I just crumple completely to the ground and drop the mask, and just kind of like in shock.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you 2 mind points for this as well, without asking you to roll anything. Okay, you happy with that?
Yep.
Okay.
I think he's gonna start kind of like talking to himself, like praying to the icons, like trying to remember the names of the icons and praying to them as the names come to mind. But he's probably fixating on like 2 or 3.
Yep. So I'm taking 2 darkness points as the darkness gets stronger around you guys for that event. And Luna, this is what you find when you get to the bulkhead there, is Xenophar huddled a short distance from the door, which is still open, and gibbering a prayer out to all of the icons in a random order.
I think he's kind of like this. The faceless Lady of Tears. The dancer with the deckhand. The faceless Lady of Tears. The dancer with the deckhand. Just kind of like repeating that to himself.
Okay, I will walk up to him. I'll ask Jill what just happened, what went on here, see if she could give me any kind of hints. I'm thinking because I got such a low empathy, it's not as if I'm going to go running up to him. It's like, oh, Xanathar, what happened to you? It's a little bit more of a colder battlefield reaction.
Yeah, more calculating, sure. Okay.
Gunner Luna, it appears that Engineer Xanathar has witnessed something that has increased his heart rate and perspiration levels. It is unknown what he has observed.
What do I do for him?
I do not understand the query. Please repeat.
Do I hear any of this in the bridge?
I guess you can kind of hook into a camera or something that's in the room that they're in. There should be cameras in most of these corridors and rooms and things.
I come on the intercom. Give him a slap.
For the hell of it, I will slap him.
Oh, what'd you do that for?
Are you okay? You're talking gibberish.
What? Wait, look out! And he's gonna point down the hallway and point to where the man in the lab coat was.
I look down, and as far as I know, I see nothing there. And I kind of look down at him, just giving him an odd look.
I took off my mask and he was gone, but I swear he was there. A white lab coat.
This is when you both notice that there's a strange smell of burning meat. It's only there for an instant, and it's slightly faint, but it's unmistakable, and then it's gone.
I'll kind of sniff once or twice, scrunch up my nose, and attempt to find the source of it, but then with it being gone, kind of put it out of my mind a little bit.
Sure, you step into the corridor. It's completely empty. There's nothing in it. There's certainly nothing burning.
And Xanathar is like, I'm getting out of here, and he's gonna fumble around for his survival mask and run to the bridge. I don't think he'll actually put it on until he gets there.
You don't encounter anything else on the way to the bridge. You get to the bridge. Luna, you gonna head back as well?
Yeah, I'm just going to go down to the end of the hall where he thought he saw something, take a look around, make sure that there's nothing hiding around the corner, and then head back up to the bridge.
Right, so you're all three back on the bridge, and what do you want to do? You want to head off? Head towards the moon of Mukifa?
Yeah, let's get this show on the road.
Yep.
It's going to take about 2 hours to get from where you are now to Mukifa. What do you want to do in that time? Do you just want to stay on the bridge until you get there?
Well, I think we should debrief about what's just happened.
Yeah.
A little bit of table talk. Perhaps someone could remind me. When I first sighted the figure in the white coat back in episode 1, was there some sort of medium between my bare eyes and the space where the figure was? Was there some kind of Fallout style glass door or something? Yeah,
sure. If you've played Fallout 4, it's effectively exactly the same. You're in a stasis bed, so you were waking up in one of those, and there was condensation, or like a frozen condensation on the glass that kind of distorted the view, but you could see somebody peering in, like directly above your head.
Yeah. So I assume Xanathar is going to tell the tale, and I'm going to join that dot for the rest of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And this apparition seems to come at us through the medium of our equipment, the equipment that's keeping us alive.
You've kind of forgotten, but you hear a voice pipe up from the captain's chair. You've brought me to a haunted ship?
Oh, shit! Don't do that!
Actually, as an aside, where is Samira through all this?
Oh, shit.
She's around. She's around. She's very unassuming.
Samira was just tagging along behind you the whole time. She's with you right at your side where she was the entire time.
She's just so quiet.
I expect she's not thrilled, but she's just thinking about life and the turn it's taken.
Note to self, don't forget the NPC tagging along. Okay. Yeah, Samira's with you, and when Xanathar comes onto the deck and is kind of talking about what's happening, she's just trying to calm him down. She pops out to your med lab and comes back with some sort of tranquilizer.
Is it like an injection or like a liquid to drink?
It'll be an injection. In fact, you're very familiar with what it is.
Yeah, I think he's gonna tilt his head to the side and offer his neck so she can just he's like, I need this.
Yep.
I tell her she displays great presence of mind. You were wasted at that research station.
She smiles, but as is usual, Samira, she says nothing. After she gives you the injection, she disappears into the background where you all promptly forget about her.
She's pretty cagey.
I'm so sorry, Samira. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So you were doing the debrief. You just mentioned the episode that happened when you woke up out of stasis in the Melic system back in episode 1. And how did the rest of you react?
Well, I would say that, or I would bring up the fact of the blood on the wall that we've seen, and I don't recall having anything between me and that, so...
Yes, that's a good point.
I think Xanathar just wants to get away from this planet and get out of the system. And I think as the drugs take hold and he kind of starts to calm down, he kind of just lets the survival mask fall to the ground and just kind of is mindlessly scanning as he sits at the pilot's chair.
A beaten man. I guess we got no choice but to just press on to our destination until the thing turns up again.
I would agree.
Okay. And if it does, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters!
So for the rest of the remaining bit of the trip for the next 2 hours, what are you doing?
I'm very much in favor of us all just staying in the bridge and nobody going anywhere unaccompanied.
Yeah, I manage Xanathar stays in the pilot's chair the entire trip.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we're talking 2 hours, so...
I turn to Xanathar and ask him if things have come to such a bad pass that he wouldn't object to just sort of clutching one another where we stand.
He looks down at his gloved hand, and he's kind of like, okay, and then just holds his hand out, but the glove stays on.
Okay, that's fine. That's progress. We have a nice clutch for 2 hours. A nice, terrified rictus clutch.
And the glove is probably for the best.
Okay. Bassam kind of sits there looking kind of worried, doesn't really say anything for the entire trip.
He's going to write a hell of a blog about this.
You have the impression that he just might be hoping that you forget about him, maybe.
Does he maybe pass out because he's drunk and just wake him up when we get there?
Yeah, that's a good shout. The first half hour that you're traveling, he's just keeping an eye on you guys. When you make eye contact with him, you can see his eyes kind of widen, like, oh, what the hell's going to happen next? But doesn't say anything. You just get the impression he's hoping you'll kind of forget about him. And then after about half an hour, you hear deep breathing and you realize that he's kind of passed out. Despite all the worry that he's got, he was quite drunk. So an hour and a half after that, you approach the moon. The moon, you notice, is set in an orbit. You're not sure if it's somehow deliberate or not, but when you approach it, the position of the moon's orbit in relation to Jibri, the gas giant, is directly or nearly directly above the cold spot. And when you do a quick sensor scan of the moon, which I would assume you're going to be doing, you notice that the information you get back is that there's a surprising temperature on the planet. It's actually reasonably temperate. It's about 2 degrees centigrade, which is just over freezing, which you would never expect this far from the Melic star. The other thing you notice is that it comes back telling you that there is a cocktail of gases on the moon, which make the atmosphere breathable. And then you see the base, and the base is effectively a big dome with a smaller dome attached to one side of it. And you see that there is a ship, or your scan tells you that there is a fairly small Class 2 ship parked on the surface of the planet not far from the base. And the sensors also then inform you that there is a ship approaching.
From which vector? From the moon base?
From the moon. Mm-hmm.
Okay, how about a class?
Yeah, it's a Class 2 craft. It's got its transponder switched on. It's a consortium patrol craft. And then it hails you.
All right, so I think Xanathar is going to repeat the obvious that, hey, there's a craft approaching consortium hailing us, Captain.
The Fash have come a-knocking.
Do you want to open comms?
Yep, open comms.
The floating head of a woman appears in front of you through the hollow communicator.
Good afternoon, or morning, or night, whichever. Space, right? I'm Kalia.
Salam. Please state your purpose.
Our purpose. It's an interesting one. I look over to my team to see if they have anything they feel like signing to me.
Okay, so while she's stammering and looking over at us, I jump in and say that we're just here to deliver some supplies for the base for the medical staff.
There is no delivery scheduled.
Well, that's head office all over. I mean, we could go away and come back, ring round and bollock, whoever we need to bollock. But we've got the supplies here now.
You are welcome to come to the surface. However, your ship is too large. You will have to leave it somewhere here in orbit. Do you have a smaller vessel?
That's fine. We've got the Gazetta on board. We'll load it up and bring it on down.
You notice as she's been talking that her face is completely slack, no expression whatsoever.
The thing is, I feel like that's how all bureaucrats look. So I don't make too much of a note of it.
Another career pencil pusher.
That's the one.
Just completely dead inside.
Loving her life out here on this remote moon.
She wanted to be a singer.
She had such dreams.
So she basically invites you down to the planet. Are you gonna take her up on it? What do you want to do?
I think we just put the. I think Xanathar is gonna go ahead without waiting for orders. Just coordinate in orbit, maybe like above the moon base, maybe a kilometer or two away. I don't know what the safe distance would be. A couple kilometers maybe, and then go and start prepping the shuttle.
You gonna go down to the shuttle, past the corridor, but you have to pass past by yourself?
Oh, not alone. Yeah, definitely
okay.
not.
Before you cut comms with the other ship, she says,
"We shall await your shuttle."
As soon as the comms cut off, Samira pipes up and says, "There is something very wrong about that woman. I don't know what, but did any of yours pick up on that? She's completely expressionless. Patrol craft, they're usually, from what I've heard anyway, they are usually quite suspicious of people and ask lots of pointy questions from what I've heard. They don't just invite people down with some half-baked excuse. I think we should be very careful here."
The thing is this, I'm a master of manipulation.
No, I agree with her.
It comes as easily as breathing to me.
No, Samira's onto something. We gotta watch out.
I mean, it was hardly a jolly as it was. This ain't no picnic, etc.
So you make your way down the shuttle, all of you together? Do you want to take Bassam with you? Do you want to leave him behind on your ship?
Yeah, I think we take everyone.
We'll march him along. You want to stick him in stasis?
Do we need him anymore? We're essentially being invited down to the moon base now.
He might have some contacts or something. I don't know.
I mean, Matt has got enough of a job keeping Samira alive.
Hey, it's all good. I don't mind you taking him along.
Okay, let's take him along.
Yeah, let's take him along. He might be useful.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to have him along.
I really come to like him.
So you slap him around, wake him up, and then, loosen his bonds somewhat so he can walk. But it's still tied, yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna slap him.
I don't loosen his bonds, just let him hop.
Okay, let's fast forward to you on board the shuttle with Samira and Bassam in tow. You don't come across the figure in the lab coat as you make your way there.
You know why? Because we formed an angle of death.
Do we have our exosuits?
You can definitely. I guess you had your exoshells in the suit in the shuttle from before, didn't you? So
he had arranged all that ahead of time.
They're still there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think Xanathar is gonna actually go ahead and get in his and he won't have maybe the helmet on, but he'll be in the actual suit while he's piloting it.
Yeah. Okay. When your shuttle leaves your hangar, the patrol craft slowly makes its way down to the surface of the moon and lands next to the base. There's plenty of, it's not landing on like a landing pad or anything like that. It's just landing directly on the surface of the moon. Despite the readings that you had of the temperature and the breathability of the atmosphere, you don't see any kind of vegetation on the moon. It looks like a rocky moon. However, you do notice something that didn't pop up on your initial sensor sweep, which is that you see, as you approach the surface, that there is machinery dotted along the surface of the moon. Kind of heavy machinery. It appears to be moving, and so I would probably say Kalia's probably been around the most around the horizon. You'll recognize it as terraforming equipment, but nothing that you've ever seen. It looks similar to terraforming equipment you've seen on other planets, but this is, it's a different model, or you're not really sure.
Would I judge it to be more sophisticated than what I'm used to, or more crude?
You can't really tell from the distance you're at. It just looks different. It's machinery. It's pretty bulky that you could see it from however many kilometers away from the actual planet you are.
So something about it just doesn't sit right with me, but I keep it under my hat.
You've seen moons terraformed in the past, and they usually had pieces of machinery dotted at regular intervals around the moon to fuck around with everything, the atmosphere, and which is just every part of the planet, of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Or planet. And these are kind of laid out in a similar pattern, and they're roughly the right size for doing that sort of thing too. So it's an easy connection to make. Yeah, and then do you want to just land on the surface? How far from the base do you want to land?
Pretty close, I think. I'll be in an exoshell, so...
We've not really encountered a lot of resistance, as Samir says, so as close as possible, really.
And you said there's a smaller dome. Are these like geodesic domes, or what kind of domes? Or are they just like spherical?
No, these are geodesic ones.
And you said there's a small one. So did it park by the small one, like an entrance dome, or is it like, where is it related to that smaller?
The smaller dome is attached to the side of the bigger one, and yeah, it's kind of the.
I mean, where did the other ship land in relation to that location? They're like right next to it, or off on like a different?
No, you can see that there's a big entrance airlock at the front of the dome, and if you're looking at the dome with the airlock in front of you, the smaller dome is to the left, and the patrol craft landed a little bit further away from the dome, kind of on the right-hand side.
Okay, yeah, I think Xanathar will put the shuttle down to the left towards the smaller circular dome.
Okay. I mentioned there was a mining craft also landed on the planet. That's near where they put the patrol craft.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to park to the left-hand side of the entry location, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yep. Okay. You park, and then you notice as the shuttle settles, you notice two people emerge from the patrol craft, a woman and a man. They're not wearing exoshells. They're not wearing any kind of masks. They're just completely standing at the front of their patrol craft, unprotected against the elements, so to say. The man has a carbine of some description in his hands, you can see from this distance, and the woman has a drawn pistol. But they're not approaching your shuttle. They're just standing in front of their craft.
Yeah, so Xanathar is going to put his helmet on, so it'll be fully suited up in his exoshell, shotgun. He's going to have all his gear, and then he's going to exit this shuttle.
Yeah, I'd like to follow behind.
Yeah, seeing that she has her gun drawn, it makes me a little uneasy, and I start to pull my own.
Kalia?
I'd like to suit up and follow them out.
Okay. Which weapon are you taking with you?
I've got a Vulcan carbine.
So the Vulcan carbine is effectively like an assault rifle, if you want to think of it like that. You also have an accelerator pistol, which is also quite a decent weapon. It doesn't do as much damage, but it crits a lot easier. It also has a longer range.
Mm-hmm. Is it one or the other?
You could take both. Sure, you could take both. You could put the pistol, like tuck it into a holster or something, and then have the carbine as well.
Yeah.
You also had a Dura-Axe, but with all those other weapons, you won't actually be able to carry it without being encumbered. So I don't know if that's of interest to you.
Fair enough. Is it just an axe?
A Dura-Axe actually has like a vibrating edge. It's kind of like a chainsaw axe. I think of it like that.
I do have my cutting torch, so I don't feel there's any need for the Dura-Axe.
You want to take the cutting torch with you?
Yeah. Is that going to be possible?
So that's also heavy. So that's that would also encumber you.
Oh, right. Maybe just the accelerator pistol and the cutting torch then.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that. Sure.
Okay.
Luna and Xanathar, you've got enough strength that you can carry the weapons you've already discussed, so that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, you exit the shuttle, and they notice that you're armed, and they move towards the door, like cutting you off from entering. And the man shouts, "You will have to leave your weapons on the shuttle."
Okay.
I think Xanathar's gonna put his shotgun. He'll put it in the shuttle and kind of go on.
This is a bit of an anticlimax, but I guess we're putting our weapons back down.
Luna, are you happy to do that too?
Hell no. I tell them to put theirs away first.
So we're making our way back to the shuttle. We turn around when we hear Luna saying, "Go fuck yourself."
Well, Luna could have said it first, and they incline their heads, and they head back to their patrol craft. And after a moment or two, they come back out, and their hands are free.
Wow, you're odd.
All right. I think Xanathar is going to go back in and grab his shotgun and see if they see anything else. Actually, he'll follow Luna's lead. What's Luna gonna do?
My biggest gun will be noticeable, and that'll be my rifle. I will go put that away and see if there's some way I can sneak in a pistol and my knife. My knife I will have tucked in the boot. That one will be hidden from sight.
Could I maybe give Luna my Vulcan cricket?
Yeah, so the Vulcan cricket is it's got a better initiative value, and it's light, so it means it's smaller. But the Vulcan pistol has the reliable quality.
What exactly does that mean again?
Whereas nothing I own is reliable.
The reliable quality means that if I want to spend darkness points to make the weapon jam, it costs me 4 darkness points instead of 3.
Yeah, I'm keeping my pistol. Screw you. I will not make that one easy on you.
Okie doke. So, Adam, do you want Kalia to take the accelerator pistol? Or...
Yeah, the accelerator's still tucked into the hem of her pants.
Yeah, it's not a particularly small pistol. It's fairly bulky.
Quite a thin lady.
Just throwing it out there. It's not going to be hard for them necessarily to find you, to find it if they really want to look for it. The cricket would be a bit harder, but that's fine. Okay, and Xanathar, you could take the cricket, in fact.
Is that being left behind?
It is being left behind, yeah.
Okay, yeah, he'll go ahead and grab the cricket then.
Right. You've basically kitted yourself out with pistols and come back out of the shuttle looking like your hands are free. And they nod to you and gesture to the door.
In we go.
The airlock.
I'll let the other two go ahead of me and I'll take up the rear.
Do you want to bring Samira and Bassam with you? We'll say that while this was happening, when you stepped out of the shuttle, Samira would have come with you. She's not in an exoshell, and she doesn't seem to be having any problems with the temperature or the atmosphere or anything like that.
Okay.
Do you want Bassam to come as well?
I suppose. I mean, he's not really part of our cool kids gang, but we'll tolerate him. He's to behave himself, though. I suppose we've got to free his bonds, because it's going to look very odd otherwise.
Yeah.
But he's on like a permanent warning.
Yeah, he's right in front of me.
You've seen perfectly well in your time with us, short as it may be, that we're fucking nutters.
He nods with a slight wince. Okay, you head to the airlock. They stand in front of you, punch the control panel on the outside so it cycles and opens, and then they head in front of you into the airlock. And you all go in behind them?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, you all go in behind them, and the airlock closes behind you. You're in a small room, like an airlock type of a cycling room, and you hear the usual whirring and everything that happens, and then the door on the other side slides open. And I'll just tell you what your senses tell you as the door to the base opens. The first thing that hits you is the smell. The smell is of metals. You can smell warm iron, copper, and there's also a very faint smell of rotten meat. You also catch a whiff of sandalwood incense that is very faintly, maybe attempting to mask the smell, but the other smells are so strong that it's not really doing a very effective job. So that's the first thing that hits you. The second thing that hits you is the sound of quiet, wordless song that seems to be resonating faintly through the air.
Does the song have lyrics or just like music?
It's wordless. It sounds like maybe somebody chanting or maybe humming slightly. You can't really tell. It's faint, but it sounds like it's a voice, and it's just kind of resonating in the air. The other thing that you notice is that it's not as bright as you would expect a base like this to be. The lights are on, but they're turned right down. They're dimmed quite low. And you're effectively standing on the other side of the airlock, facing an entryway with a corridor heading to your right and a corridor heading to your left. The two people gesture to the left corridor and start walking that direction. This is the direction of the smaller dome, if you remember.
Follow along, I think.
Yeah.
My newshound's instinct is proper peaked.
Yep, okay. Luna, you're following too?
Yeah. Yep. I'm just wondering to myself that why have they not asked us where the supplies are that we were supposed to be delivering?
Okay. That's tickling the back of your mind.
Yep. Yeah, because we obviously forgot them on the ship.
They come to a door on the right-hand side of the corridor and tap the control panel. The door slides open and they enter the room.
Is there any sound in particular coming out? Any,
You still hear this faint song in the air. Nothing changes. There's no, like, machine.
Can we see anything beyond the threshold?
You can go to the doorway and look.
I push Xanathar ahead of me. Check it out, will you?
Okay, and then he's gonna go ahead and like kind of slow nod and just deploy the, or kind of like without saying anything, he's gonna ask through gestures, do you want me to deploy the camera?
Yes, please. I say through gestures.
Yeah. So he deploys the camera and kind of goes ahead.
You step into a large storage room where there's boxes and crates kind of lining the sides of the walls. Something doesn't feel quite right about it. Most of these sort of storage rooms are normally quite orderly because, if you're living on a moon base, your food and your supplies are what keep you alive. This appears that somebody has gone through it, opened a lot of the crates, and hasn't really put stuff back in place. So it looks a bit disheveled. Other than that, there's the same smell in the air. You notice there's a door on the far side of the supply room. They both walk to that door, and then they turn around and they stand and wait. The woman pipes up, "Are your friends not coming in?" Xanafar's the only one in the room.
And then he's gonna like turn around and so he's gonna activate the camera and have the camera just kind of like recording the two of them, and he's gonna remote the feed to his wrist computer, and then he's gonna walk a few steps backwards and kind of keeping an eye on them, and then looking for where the rest of the party is.
The rest of the party's just outside the door. They've just let you go in, sacrificial lamb style.
Okay. All right, he's gonna kind of like just wave them in with his gloved hand without saying anything. He's still got his full like exoshell helmet and everything on.
Just point of order, what are the rest of you wearing?
Exo suits.
And Luna, you're the same? You're wearing your full exoshell?
Yeah, I think so. I was debating that initially, but...
Do you all want to enter then?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll double back up towards them, and he's gonna switch the camera back off as he approaches them closely, and he's just gonna assume the rest are following him.
It's quite a big room. It's about 20 meters long, so there's plenty of space in there. Okay. And Luna and Kalia, just point of order, you're both definitely entering the room, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be behind the other two. Yeah, Basama and Samira.
Okay. So you all enter the room, and the door slides shut behind you. The camera, you mentioned the camera, Nathan. Did Xanathar, you said Xanathar switched it back off.
Does it hover in the air?
When it's switched on, it does, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then he'll leave it switched on and hover. I'm just not going to have it recording this.
When the camera comes in behind you, before anyone else comes in, you notice the woman cock her head to one side, but doesn't say anything.
I'm going to step forward and try and get down to brass tacks. What kind of operation are you running here? What's that sound?
The sound is the sound of salvation. Do you not feel it?
What a completely non-sinister statement and question combo. I can't say that I do.
Yeah, at this point, Xanathar is going to record everything. This seems like a good story.
This is the supply room. I do not see any supplies with you. You said you brought supplies. Where are they?
You know what? We done did forgot them.
And we were asked to leave our weapons behind. We did not bring them with us.
Ah, that is all for the good.
And you hear the door that you just came in slide open.
I whip round.
You whip around, and you notice 6 armed people slide into the room behind you, pointing their weapons at you. Then you hear another door open on the opposite side, where the 2 people are standing. And another 6 people come into the room through that door, with weapons drawn, pointed at you.
Now is the time of your salvation.
What do you want to do?
Raise my hands above my head.
Are we in the geodesic dome area, or is this like an internal, room?
You're in the supply room, which, as I said, is about 20 meters long, and the width of it is probably about 5 meters wide, so it's not super wide. And obviously there are supplies on both sides of the wall, so there's probably about 3-ish meters of space running directly forward.
Yeah.
I'll just mutter under my breath, Kimata.
Okay. And you put your hands in the air, follow Kalia's lead?
Nope, I have not been asked to yet.
Okay.
Yeah, Xanathar won't put his hands up, but he'll just kind of maybe nod once, and just go along with whatever they're asking so far.
I try my luck. I say, get them, Xanathar!
Yes, recording. I've got them in camera view. Recording, I got this.
As soon as you shout, get them, the butt of a weapon comes crashing on the back of your head. You take 2 points of damage. The rest of you feel weapons being pressed into the smalls of your back. Then the woman says again,
I think it best if you follow your friend's lead and put your hands in the air. This does not need to be shameful or fearful for you. As I said, it is the time of your salvation.
With a swollen mouth, I say, I meant get their good side.
I put my hands up.
You're very quickly stripped of your weapons. You're told to disrobe effectively out of your exoshells. Do any of you want to resist any of this at any point?
Doesn't seem like any point.
No.
Nah. Xanathar will strip out and just keep his thermostatic suit or whatever, the inner lining on.
Once you're not suited up and no longer armed, they pat you all down. Your Mercurium blade is also found. They do quite a thorough search of you. The woman speaks up again.
The Faceless One wishes to speak with you. It is now time to meet him, but we do not want to take all of you in at once. Therefore, I will first request 2 of you to come with me. A man and a woman.
She looks at Xanathar.
You.
And then she looks at the others, and she makes eye contact with Samira.
And you. The rest will stay here.
Xanathar turns back and looks at them, and he just kind of like shakes his head, and then he just walks after her and goes on in.
She actually points to the door you came in through, so everyone else is kind of pushed to the side, and you step out with 2 guards keeping their weapons trained on you. You step back out to the corridor, and you make your way down to the second pod. And as the door slides open and you're gestured inside, the smell of incense becomes much stronger. The incense is lit all around this room. The room also has no lights. There are candles dotted around this room. And you can tell, because you're a technician, that this used to be the research hub of this moon base. However, it's been completely gutted. There has been scrap brought in. The machinery has been dismantled and haphazardly placed all around this one big room within the dome. And a space has been cleared right in the middle. And sitting cross-legged with his hands resting in his lap, singing, is the person that you heard described back on Horma Station. It's a man with graying hair, and he's not wearing a black kaftan. He's actually wrapped in white silks. You also notice that arranged around him in a circle are small pieces of scrap machinery, and they are dancing in a slow dance to his chanting around him in a circle. Some of them are floating about 5 to 10 centimeters off the ground. Some of them appear to be waddling attached to the ground. And as the door shuts behind you, while he's still singing, he looks up and he makes eye contact with you, Xanathar, and with Samira. And the woman who's just behind you says, "Behold your salvation." And the man lifts one of his hands, passes it over his face, and as his hand travels past his face disappears, and you're staring directly into a deep black void. The woman says behind you again, "Behold the faceless one." And I will require you to give me an empathy roll, Xanathar. You have an empathy of 2, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Empathy is used to combat mystic powers.
I rolled 2 successes.
Good lad.
I think he's gonna double check that he's still recording everything. Did they allow the camera in with me?
Yeah, sure. They'll let the camera in with you.
All right, so I think he's got the presence of mind. I think because he's actually focusing on like keeping the camera rolling, he like adjusts the camera for effect, and he just like takes in a breath like.
Okay, and I'm gonna roll Samira's empathy, which is 3 dice, and she's got no successes. So you've managed to keep yourself distracted by the nitty-gritty, and you're such a practical person that you're not really sure what within you is being tugged at, but you feel some part of your being is being tugged at when you gaze into this abyss, and you look slightly away from it. However, Samira, you hear her take a deep indrawn breath, and then she slumps to her knees, and the woman says,
"Salvation for one. For you, it is the clock."
And one of the men holds a gun to your head and pulls the trigger. We're going to end it there for this week.
Timing.
Wow.
You're an asshole.
Thanks for listening to Mud and Blood Plays Coriolis. Our players can be found on Twitter. Adam is playing Kalia and has the handle AdamAtley, Attley. Charlotte is playing Luna and has the handle Foxfire22. That's fire spelled Fyre. Nathan is playing Xanathar and has the handle Script and Verse. Our intro and outro music is the track Valraven by Danish musician Danheim. Ambient music is from the Emmy Award-winning Tabletop Audio. Join us next week for the next installment of Fear and Loathing in the Third Horizon.